Welcome to the Cabin Culture Podcast, where we spend a little more time diving deeper into all the fun parts of cabin culture. I like to think of this as both the material and imagined expressions of how cabin lovers, dwellers, builders, and designers wish to live a more simple and authentic life. Today we're welcoming Rick and Lindsay from the south coast of the UK, creators of Looking Glass Lodge. When Rick inherited woodland that his father had cultivated as a nature reserve for 30 years, they faced a choice. How do you preserve this special place while also sharing it with others? Their solution flips the typical cabin business model. Working with architect Michael Kendrick, they spent 2.5 years designing a structure that feels like a natural extension of the forest. All income goes directly back into maintaining the woodland, essentially using hospitality as a conservation tool. What struck me most is their philosophy of selling nothing. They've intentionally avoided hot tubs and typical amenities because guests just want to disconnect completely. We'll explore their biophilic design principles, how they source unique furniture to create seamless indoor-outdoor spaces, and why they believe maintaining connection between cabin and woodland is what makes a cabin truly special. Whether you're interested in sustainable business models, designing with minimal environmental impact, or creating spaces where doing absolutely nothing is the main attraction, this conversation offers a different perspective on what cabin culture can be. Let's do it. It's so nice to meet you. You are at the cabin.
Yes, yeah. We had a changeover today, so we just had to. We had a night when it's free, didn't we?
Yeah,
That's cool.
I love that. I recognize it by the wood, but also by that very notable light right behind your head.
Yeah.
I have to start by saying your cabin is unlike anything I think I've seen. And I love it when this happens because when we think of cabin culture, we tend to think of a specific type of cabin. And anytime someone works kind of outside of that box and yet still manages to keep the feel and the heart of a cabin, I'm so impressed. So
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love for you to start by introducing yourselves and telling folks where you're located. Your accent gives you away a little bit, but tell folks where you're located and let's get a little background before we dive into your specific cabin.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm Rick. This is Lindsay. We live on the south coast of the UK, near Hastings, a little fishing town right up by the sea there. So it's kind of we're lucky enough to have this piece of land, which my parents had beforehand. My dad would go for the backstory really. My dad ran a nature reserve, a few hundred yards away from here. Well, kind of where the cabin's located within, and he worked there for like 30 years. And then when he retired, they bought an old barn, converted that themselves, and then just basically had some woodland here. They could have ran that as a nature reserve too.
And then kind of a field, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a field originally.
Planted all the trees and kind of made it an extension of the wood.
Yeah.
Over I don't know how many years.
Yeah, over probably about 30 years. So a lot of the trees that you can see from the photos, they're trees that my parents planted like 40, 50 years ago.
And I feel like there has to be a lot of intentionality to do something like that because nowadays we think of, I own a big piece of land. I'm not saying everyone, and maybe this is an American thing, but it tends to be, what can I do with this that will make money? And that is the opposite of what your parents chose to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's they just were really kind of selfless with it and just wanted to maintain the wildlife for the area really and stuff.
Yeah,
just make it more of a nature reserve rather than just a piece of land that they had.
Yeah. And then you all have taken it a step further because I think what you've done is given people an opportunity to visit that special place and spend time there in a way that can really help them experience and recharge from what they've created. When did that idea first come? Okay, so they developed the nature preserve. Rick, did that get passed down to you? How did it come that, because you live there too?
Yeah, we moved down about 10, 11 years ago as my mum and dad were getting a bit older. So we managed to convert a house next door to them to kind of look after them a bit and help them out around here. And then we were kind of like looking around the woodland and just thought it's such a beautiful place. It'd be really nice to share this with other people as well as we can as time went on, really.
And also it's like the land needs a lot of work. So you've really got to you've got to be able to maintain that. And it's just Rick and I were doing all of it whilst you were working, and I was working freelance. So the idea was to have the cabin let people see it and share the land, but also be able to actually look after the land. So the income helps us with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that gets into your business model, which I think is fascinating. I had that for the end of our conversation, but since you brought it up, because your business model, isn't it that the income from the cabin goes directly back into the land? Was that always the vision for it?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much, wasn't it, to help us out? Because as you said, it's not easy to kind of maintain this when you're kind of like looking after looking after my mum now. We got a 15-year-old daughter as well who we're kind of looking after, and so all the things sort of like it just kind of adds up. So it was just all the income or a fair amount of the income goes back into maintaining the woodland.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I want to back up just a tiny bit because I know a lot about cabin culture in the United States, and even there's differences within New England versus West Coast cabin culture. Can you tell us a little bit for folks who don't know, what does cabin culture look like in the UK? Is this something that everyone experiences? Do only some people experience it? What is your background with it?
I mean, our background came from nothing really, didn't it? I mean, we kind of like we had this kind of idea, and then we did a lot of research and spoke to people who maybe had cabins around the UK. But I think it's growing during COVID. It kind of grew up quite swiftly then. But I think it's not. I don't think it's as extensive as it is in the US potentially. So I think it's definitely increasing.
Yeah. Lots of more people thinking about it if they've got a piece of land that and they want to use it as a business, but it's not. I don't think we knew about it that much before we started out. We'd stayed in places abroad more than in Europe really than in the UK, I would say.
What was the place that you stayed at that made you most inspired for what you've created?
Probably we went to a place in Sweden. And that was really beautiful, wasn't it?
By the lakeside, in the woodland.
And it wasn't so much a cabin, but it had this kind of feel. It was quite a sort of a luxury escape. And it was really kind of like
a lot of glass, very open, so you can see good views over the lakeside and the woodland, and it really felt like you were immersed in part of that woodland, and that's what kind of really grabbed us, I think.
Yeah. And that's what you all have done with yours. Take me to the design of it. Did you buy plans for this? Did you design it? Did you hire an architect to design it? Where did the design come from?
Yeah, we hired an architect purely because we had different ideas to put here, but we felt like we went to a few places that kind of do a sort of prefab design, which we kind of steered away from in the end because it's such a unique bit of land that we own that we felt like it needed to be a really unique build to sort of show both off, I suppose, and something that would kind of blend in and not sort of obstruct anything that was already there. So it was important to us to get an architect that kind of had that same feeling, I think, about it. So it was really important to get an architect. I think we could have done something ourselves, but I don't think it would have maximized what it needed in the woodland, I think, for sure.
There's a guy called Michael Kendrick who we used. This is up in the Midlands, and he's kind of had that philosophy of working with a kind of a lighter touch and really kind of got the feel. When he came down, we really felt that he understood what we're trying to get across. So we didn't want something that would jar and contrast the landscape that really sat within the woodland and kind of and work together with it.
It was kind of a natural clearing as well. So the cabin is a sort of angle, but it's sort of intentionally so it kind of like tilts away from sort of like where we live down the bottom, and kind of feels like every little aspect of it was kind of,
so the actual clearing could have led the design almost of the cabin, so it kind of sat within that, and the dimensions of it were very much thought out, so it didn't feel too oppressive or too big, and kind of sat nicely within the environment.
I think this is really important to talk about because I think this is a step that I see a lot of people skipping because there are pre-made designs or even prefab houses. And so there's this desire for instant gratification. It is less expensive and quicker to do it that way. But when I first discovered your cabin and I looked at it, it kind of takes your breath away, right? Because it's unlike something you've seen before and very distinctly unique. And that's what you get when you put in the time and the money of using an architect. What was that process like? I'm curious for people who might not have considered it or might be considering it but aren't sure. Can you talk about what that process was like and then how it paid off?
Well, it was quite a painful, I would say. Well,
working with Mike, the architect, was really quite good. Was great, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
Then when you start introducing other aspects like structural engineers and all the kind of physical, the stuff that has to be done, that kind of then brought more complications. But I think the actual design process, I mean, it went backwards and forwards many times to kind of get the profiles right. But
so I think it's a lot more work because obviously you have got that backwards and forwards from, there's normally like a triangle of people that are kind of working on it. So it does really feel quite intense. But, the whole build process after we'd got all the designs in place was about 6 months. So once you've got everything in place, it's actually really quick.
Yeah. It's about 2.5 years to get to that point.
I was going to ask, how long did it take to get to the build? So it was a total of about 3 years.
Planning as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Did you know, I'm guessing the answer is yes to this, but you knew from the beginning that this was going to be a place that you were renting because you live on the land. So you weren't building it for yourself. It was for renting.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it was never, and we couldn't get planning permission as a residential place anyway. It had to be for tourism to enhance the tourism of the area.
Okay. So how did that impact the design? Like what decisions were you making solely? And like, did you know ahead of time who your target market was? At what point did you start thinking about who you were creating? Because normally it's just for you, right? So you can answer all the questions, but you really had to design with someone else in mind.
I mean, I think we kind of designed it mainly with us in mind, to be honest with you, because we had to be something that we really loved and felt proud of. And so I think that made it kind of a bit easier. I mean, the actual, I think that's the way we went really with it, wasn't it?
Yeah, we just kind of, we knew we wanted to create something that people didn't have, I suppose. So we kind of had that in mind that if we were going to go and stay somewhere, what would we want it to have and what features would we want it to have? So it did kind of make it easier, I think, because we didn't have like a couple in mind. It was like, if you really love the thing, then that will come across in the design. So I agree. Yeah, we kind of went with that. And it's definitely our target audience as well now.
And actually the target audience we initially thought is probably slightly different from...
Well, I think it's not what we thought. I think we were told what our target audience would be.
Who told you?
Kind of 20. So when we went to different, what do you call them, like listing agencies and things, they were very much that it would be 25 to 45-year-olds that would stay in it, and we were like, we thought like it would be higher.
Like our age.
So
26 to 20.
So we. When we started out, we suddenly noticed actually that wasn't the case, and actually it was our age. So actually, what we'd done is we had sort of boosted it to the sort of higher, sort of, I'd say 45 to kind of probably 80. Actually,
we've had
is our demographic, which is amazing. That's what we kind of went for, and it's kind of shown that as we've gone along.
So then as you were preparing to eventually host guests during this 2.5-3 year period, what were you doing on the like hospitality marketing side? So aside from just the build and design of it, were you prepping at all for the actual hosted? Okay.
We were completely engrossed in the build process. We did a lot of building ourselves as well. So we project managed ourselves, and we did a lot of the groundwork. We did any job that we could do. We were there with the insulation, cutting it up and stuffing it into the walls and things. So we kind of, our mind was completely solely on getting it finished before the loan start had to be paying back. And then we got to the end of it, built it, and then we sat back and thought, how are we going to do this now? We have no idea about marketing. It's like suddenly we've got, right, stop that. Then we're going to move on to this whole new aspect of it.
Yeah, it was a bit of a leap, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From it literally was like, there was like a switch of like, okay, it's nearly ready now. So we've got to get people in like immediately because we've got a massive loan to pay.
Right.
And because of COVID, obviously the prices of everything like rocketed. So it cost us way more than we anticipated. So we were like, we've got to sort of get people in as soon as possible, and had absolutely no clue at all what we were doing.
Okay, but now you seem to be doing quite well. So I am curious, what did you learn and what advice could you offer other people who might be approaching the same light switch moment?
I think just do your research, like find the place that fits your build. Don't just go. I think we tried a few different places, and actually we now do our own marketing. Well, we actually have a lady that does it for us, like a PR agency.
Yeah.
I think that's what they
called,
isn't it? So we've kind of learned that along the way, that actually finding what fits you is quite tricky, and it's all trial and error. You've got to try it, see if that works. If it doesn't quite match it, try a different direction.
And I think paying for people who know what they're doing and have the access and the contacts as well definitely helps, rather than us sort of kind of blindly rushing around left and right trying to find our way.
Which happens a lot, though. Yeah, I don't think that's unusual, especially with the growth of Instagram. It's beautiful in the sense that you really can do your own marketing if you have the skill set, but it can also fool you into thinking, oh, anybody can do this, I should be doing my own marketing, when it is really a skill set.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've done the Instagram side of things, which we started off before, as we were building, so we could have we built up and then worked with the journey as we kind of like built the lodge as well. But
it was definitely that sort of feeling of, pay someone that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
That kind of like, we don't have that knowledge. So it really felt, once we kind of got to that point, we were like, okay, this does feel right, because we're just kind of floating around, and they're just like, they know exactly what they're doing. So, if you don't know, hand it to someone that does know.
Yes. Well, and the beautiful thing about marketing is that if you pick the right person, they should hopefully be able to generate enough income that they're paying for themselves, right? And so it feels like a cost up front, but if they do it right, it's actually not that big of a cost.
It doesn't take much to get to pay for that marketing very, very quickly, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So that was quite a learning curve, I think.
Yeah. For a lot of folks, I feel like that is, I mean, even myself, I documented our entire build. And so that certainly helped us fill the calendar right away. But I struggled. It was very easy to document a build. There's new things happening every week. And I think a lot of people experience this. And then all of a sudden you're hosting. I can't be there. I can't get pictures all the time.
Yeah.
What is my story now? And like switching from the build process to the actual hosting process is another light switch moment. That was my challenging moment of like, oh, what am I documenting now? I think that's hard. I want to go back to the design really quick, because your goal was to immerse your guests in nature. And so can you talk specifically, we might drop some pictures in here so folks who are watching it on YouTube can see this, but we're also going to link your Instagram, your website below. Everyone should go look at this. Maybe while you're listening to this, you should be looking at this. But can you talk through some of the design elements that really helped you to accomplish this immersion with nature?
I think definitely I did a course on biophilic design before we sort of filled it, I suppose.
Yeah.
So whilst it was being built, I did this little course, and that helped no end. It just it's just about the connection between humans and nature.
Is that what biophilic means?
So basically we made everything in the cabin like touchable, textured, anything, all the colors. So we had an illustrator come round and do a illustration of the lodge before it was here. So it wasn't here, it was just a wood.
Yeah.
She had the design pictures from the architect, and she came and sat in the wood and drew a illustration of it. So
that's on your YouTube channel, isn't it? Your very first video.
Yes,
yeah, it's beautiful.
It is.
And it's striking how similar, I mean, it's more artistic, obviously, but how similar it looks to what you finished with.
Yeah. And then she gave us a color palette from that. So all the color palette was from the woodland. And then we used that to basically buy everything in the cabin. Wow. So basically you don't have anything that's too stark, too white, like make sure everything kind of goes back to the woodland. So when you're here, you don't feel like it's intrusive. It feels like it still is part of the woodland. And that worked amazingly, didn't it? Just
more than I could ever.
Yeah, just like even the light switches, they had to be textured. Everything had to be sort of sourced so that you felt like you wanted to touch it and sit on it, or, you know, feel it. And the smells as well. The cedar was important. So you have all the senses when you come in that are in the woodland.
Yeah. That's the best. The smell is the thing that you can't market, but when you get there and you smell it, it's like, what a greeting. Did you
every time we come and do changeover, we just came in the door and it's that smell that greets you. It's great.
Same. I say to my husband every time, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad the smell's still here, because I get worried that all the life that's happening, that it's going to go away.
Yeah.
Did you do all the sourcing in the interior design, or did you have an interior designer you were working with?
No, we did it all ourselves.
Yeah. Wow.
We really wanted to we knew exactly how we wanted it to look, and actually bought a lot of the stuff before it was built, because we knew that we'd run out of budget. So we knew that, you know, it's that classic story that you're going to run out of budget at the end, and then you have to cut corners on what you actually put in. But we were very much like, we cannot cut corners on that. That's what's going to sell the lodge. So if we get that wrong, then you're potentially, all of the design and all the backstory, it doesn't work, because you haven't sort of gone all the way with the last, you know, all those little details that you put in are so important. So we pretty much bought everything so that we then had to borrow more because we'd run out of money.
To buy toys too early.
Yeah, but what a nugget of wisdom. You know? Yes. I think everybody needs to hear that, because I do think almost everyone does it the other way around. And I've seen a lot of cabins that have a beautiful design, and then the inside, they just don't spend the time, energy, or money to do it justice. And you're right, it takes away the magic.
Yeah, definitely. It was really important that bit for us.
And then we had the panic of like, does the stuff actually fit? Will it look too big? How will it scale in there?
I was having nightmares, because we had bought like even the lamps they looked huge in our own house. So I was like, it's too big. Everything's going to be too big. I was having nightmares of like, you know, everything was like a colossal size. The fire was too large. And
I had a nightmare in the middle of the night. I thought the bath wasn't going to fit through the door. So I ran up here kind of in the middle of the night, 12 in the night, and just had to measure stuff out again just to make sure.
Just to make sure. I know that feeling so well.
Yeah.
I was convinced.
And it fit by about an inch, did it, or something?
That's all you need.
It was like,
That's all you need. Okay, but then I have questions about the interior design, because the items that I'm looking at are just so unique. That couch, I've never seen anything like it. Those lights, I haven't seen anything like it. So for someone who's wanting to do their own design, I think that can feel very intimidating. Because it's easy to go to the 3 big stores that everyone shops from. But if you do that, your cabin's going to look like everyone else who shops from those 3 big stores. But if you don't know where to find them, where do you even start? Do you have any tips on how you found such unique items?
We definitely went for one store, didn't we? So we did go through a few places that we kind of liked. So we'd like search for like one item, and we really like that one item. And then you would find that shop actually does like more of that same kind of design.
Okay.
So we kind of went with that we found a place, a shop in London called 2021. And they basically did lots of
the things that we were looking for.
Basically the designs that we like. So find your shop.
The lights I'd seen in a hotel in Iceland as well. So I was really keen on those when I first saw them. And then,
so it's just finding a couple of items, I think, that you like. And then if you find the right store, they will have that expansion and they'll tend to get the same kind of mood of
really good
furniture and things. So actually
we were drawn to that kind of like Scandinavian style of in design, weren't we? Really, I think.
Yeah, so it worked really well. Once we found the store, we did go a few different places, and then once you find it, you're like, yes,
It worked.
This works really well. Yeah.
This is a great piece of advice, because what I struggle with the most in interior design, and I always hire designers, is the cohesiveness. I can find a piece that I love, right? But then figuring out how do you design a space around that where they all go together. But to your point, if you find one thing that you love, that store will be thinking about that for you.
Yeah, definitely. And they were really helpful. And also we're really lucky where we live. We've got like boutique stores, haven't we?
Yeah.
So they're not mainstream stores. So we're sort of between Rye and Hastings, which both have an old town and they have their own unique shops. So we went to a lot of the suppliers and kind of looked around there. Sort of they kind of knew what we were sort of after. So you can kind of work with them as well, which worked really, really well for us, didn't it? But I know not everyone has that, but
we tried to get as much as we could from locally supplied stores and things.
Yeah. I think that's really good advice too, because someone who owns a local boutique versus a chain store is going to be more invested in helping you on that journey. So if you don't have those skills, you can be like, I really like this. What would you recommend that I put with this? And again, if they're a local store and they're invested in your journey, they might keep an eye out and be like, hey, we found something that I think might be a good fit.
Yeah.
And then you have like
definitely.
A partner in it.
Yeah, that's right. Start the conversation and keep that going. I think is the thing, isn't it? Keep talking to these people.
Yeah.
If you're dreaming about a cabin build, or are in the midst of a build, or you just bought a place and are getting ready to host for the very first time, regardless of where you are, sometimes you just need a little help along the way. Shared experiences from someone who's been there, advice from someone who's learned a lot of lessons the hard way. That's me. Or a cheerleader as you finish up. All of these reasons are exactly why I started offering cabin consultations to our Instagram followers and friends who could use some specific one-on-one help. I can't promise to solve all your problems, but I can promise to be transparent about our build costs and process, our organization and project management systems, our favorite and least favorite tools for renting, how we market, and how we found ourselves with almost 80,000 Instagram followers and 100% occupancy in our first year of hosting at Cozy Rock. So if that sounds like it might help you, feel free to visit us at staycozycabin.com or on Instagram at Cozy Rock Cabin and sign up for a time to chat there. Okay, I want to switch a little bit from design, although actually before we do that, I do have one question. How do you keep all those windows clean? You have, for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, it's like you have this huge wall of windows that just opens it up into the woods. It's incredible. How do you keep them all clean?
We basically have a window cleaner that comes every
like 4 or 5 weeks.
4 weeks, but then in the winter we bought our own
like big brush on a pole.
So basically if it gets grubby in between times, we come up here with the big big brush and give it a quick clean. But we kind of half do it ourselves, half window cleaner.
I think that's best case, having an expert come in but also being able to maintain it yourself,
having your own
is the right way to do it. Okay, I want to transition a little bit to the hospitality side, because I do think there's this challenge of some people can build really beautiful spaces or have a vision for it. Some people are really good at hospitality. When you create a beautiful space, there is an expectation, I think, that there will be high-end hospitality to go with it, because usually you're paying more for this very high-end feeling stay. Do you have experience in hospitality, or how did you prepare yourselves to enter the world of hospitality after it was done?
I think we had a good mix, because I don't have any hospitality background. So I think I just know what looks nice, whereas Rick's a pilot, so he travels, stays in hotels all the time. So he knows what things should be there, what shouldn't be there, what lighting is good, what, if you're staying, a lot of the time you're in the hotel for quite a few hours. So he knows the sort of things that you can kind of, that you need, I suppose.
Yeah, the more kind of like the down to earth. Where's your design side of it?
So the sort of the practical and the design side, we kind of merged those together, I suppose, and then just kind of looked for the stuff. So it was really detailed, wasn't it? What we wanted. So every knife and fork, everything has been thought out. All the cupboards have got like local suppliers, pottery, all the cups. Like everything was kind of well thought of. But we're quite lucky because we do have that on our doorstep. But
I'm thinking what you'd like yourself, really. You know, how would you expect to, what would make a perfect stay for you if you went somewhere? I think that's kind of And we did get a lot of guys in before we opened to come and trial it and stay and just
so smart.
Just use everything and just cook. Use
what's missing? What do we need?
Yeah. It's interesting. You're the second pilot we've talked to on the podcast, and the previous one said the same thing. And I would never have thought of that you all travel to so many hotels. And he talked about how it informed, like, even where he places the light switches, because he's been in so many hotels, and all it takes is one where it's poorly placed for you to be like, no, it needs to be here. Yeah. Do you have any insight of like 2 or 3 things that people should not overlook when preparing their stay for guests?
Always put a charging point next to the bed so you can actually charge your phone next to the bed. I mean, that's the thing that drives me nuts. If you can be trailing leads from the other side of the room to try and get to your phone or something like that. But I mean, that's probably one of the things.
Yeah.
And
lighting, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, never overlook lighting. I think that's the lighting can set the room and make it perfect, really, can't it?
Yeah. But then I guess I'd love to dig in a little bit on that. Like, what type of lighting makes the room perfect for someone who's like, okay, cool, lighting, I should do lighting, but I don't know how to do it. What are the things you should or should not do?
I think less, for me, less is more. You know, avoid 1,001 spotlights in the ceiling that kind of flood the area with light. Go for more subtle ambient lighting that's less direct. I mean, still have your direct lighting when you need like tasks and things like that. So if you're reading, then have a light there. But mainly go for make everything dimmable, I think, as well. So you're not there with this kind of, and go for warm lights rather than this kind of in your face kind of bright blue kind of LED lighting.
Yes,
so that's my
and the shades as well. I think matter a lot, don't they? How they look. It just makes that warmth. If you've got a nice shade that's got warmth in it, definitely.
All the spots like we have little cones in them, so you don't even, unless you're right underneath them, you don't get the glare of it. So even when you're walking past, you kind of miss out on that feeling of being under a spotlight.
This is what I need, because I have a couple exposed light bulbs, which I really like the way they look visually when the lights are off.
Yeah. And
my husband gets so annoyed when we're like playing cards at the cabin and he's looking past me and there's a light bulb right there. And he's like, there needs to be a shade on it. And I'm like, no, it looks simplistic and minimalistic. And he's like, but it's not functional. And I'm like, oh, we still haven't solved this problem. So this is good for me to be thinking about.
I think we have similar chats, though. With function over design and stuff.
Yes. I was just going to ask, what are the areas that you two have disagreed or had to compromise on? Because it is hard when you have 2 people with different visions.
Oh, that's tricky.
I don't know. We've definitely got similar taste.
That's good.
There's not really been much, is there? I can think of.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I am so impressed.
Yeah, maybe I'm trying to think back of I think most things we kind of would go backwards and forwards, but like, do you like this? You're not like this.
I mean, maybe the sofa, I felt the sofa, the fabric was a little bit impractical, but not practical, but it's less, but it's great. We love it.
It's so beautiful. I'm obsessed with your couch.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It is the most comfortable thing as well. It's amazing.
It looks exactly where you want to curl up. And the fire is just like, oh my God, it's epic. It's such a statement. And I just want to curl up on that couch in front of that fire. It's so good.
It is. It does that. I mean, that really, I think if you want to maintain sort of business throughout the winter as well, if you can get a statement fireplace or something that really, as you say, makes you want to come back. We've had so many people who've come in the summer and said, like, we need to rebook it again so we can make the full use of the fire and curl up in front of the fire with a book and stuff. So it's kind of
that's really, I think that's the change in seasons.
Yeah,
I'm convinced winter is actually the best cabin season, which is interesting because our cabin books the most for the most amount of money summer and fall, and that's what everyone thinks is when you go to Maine.
Yeah.
But I love going in the winter because the wood stove and where, you can, and in your place, I can't imagine seeing the snow outside that window. Like do you get snow where you are? You do, right?
A little.
Not as much,
Not
not as much as you'd like, but it's, I mean, when it does snow, then we come up here for sure. And it does look beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit more about the hosting side of it. You live on property. What is the day-to-day, week-to-week experience for you all in hosting guests there? How hands-on are you? How much is it kind of its own thing? What does that look like?
We basically do everything.
Oh, wow.
So we do the changeovers. We've just put the laundry out after 2 years.
Which is like amazing.
Which is so
life-changing.
Yeah.
We pretty much do everything. So we manage all the bookings, we do the Instagram, we do the changeovers, we manage the woodland.
It's, I mean, as far as like the guest experience, we tend to leave people give a sort of a keyless check-in. So we found that people want to come up here, they don't want to be shown around. They just want to be let in. And
I think you lose the appeal of it if we're there going. Like people arrive, they get their key from the lockbox, and then they come up and they come around the corner, and then the lodge is in view as you come around the corner. And as much as we'd like to be there to see people's faces of when they sort of first see it, it's so lovely to know that they kind of that feel like this bit of woodland is their own.
Yeah,
because we're at the end of a track as well. You do really feel like you are, and there's nothing behind the lodge.
Yeah.
So when you come to the lodge, it does feel like you have your own little sort of isolation. In the woodland, which is what we kind of really kind of push for.
Yeah, it's such a balance. I've actually heard that in Europe, it's more common that hosts will greet you at the door and kind of require that they meet you. Is that true? And are you guys doing something different in the way you're doing it, or more folks kind of moving in this direction?
Maybe. I think more people are moving in this direction. And we do always send a text saying, if you need anything, we're always like, we do have people saying, oh, can we say hi? And we're like, we'll come up if that's okay. And chat about the design and things. But we kind of leave it to their choice of whether we have any contact or not. But I definitely feel like it's going more that direction.
Yeah.
When we first started, I feel like we've got a friend that manages several cabins and like a woodland down in Cornwall. And he was saying that they mostly want to for you to let them in and show them around. So at first we were like, oh no, we're doing something like really wrong. But we were like, well, we'll try it because we can't always be there at that time.
Right.
So it's worked really well.
Yeah.
And then we had one guy as well said, like, not to be funny, but they said it's great the fact we didn't see anybody or see you at all when we were up here the entire time. So I think the people like that isolation and that kind of feeling of being just with the woodland and the animals, and there's like foxes and badgers wandering past and things.
Because that is the value proposition of what you all have created is this preserve. Just want people to experience it. Yeah. And it's a delicate dance. This how present am I? I find it even from a distance. I'm not next door. I'm just trying to figure out how often do I message? How much do I let them go? But I don't want them to not know how to do something and feel like they can't reach out. It is this dance of, especially with cabin culture, I think, because cabins are an intentional escape from the world. And so you do want to make sure that they have that freedom to feel escaped. But you also don't want them to be wanting anything, and you want them to have everything they need. So it's a delicate balance, I think. Tell me a little bit about the wellness sessions, the food packages, the photography sessions. You have a whole collection of things that you offer besides just the stay. Did you initially have them? Did you learn to do that over time? How did that come about?
I think initially we were like, we need to offer everything. Like we need to say everything there is to do in the area. And then we kind of slimmed that down to sort of the massages and the hampers, things like that, because I think we learned along the way that actually people just want to come and just do nothing.
Yeah.
They just want to chill out. So we actually have made a point of not putting things like barbecue, a hot tub, all the things that kind of classic that we were kind of told that we need to sell this kind of experience. But actually we wanted it to be so that people come up here and they don't have to do anything. They literally, so we're kind of selling doing nothing.
Yeah.
Almost, which is actually quite hard to market because we did want that. And so many people have said that's what they get when they just don't want to leave. They just want to stay here and not actually do anything. So even though we offer the packages, I don't think they're not actually as popular as
some places,
I think.
Yeah. We've had so many people say like they come over here with this whole list of things they plan to do. And once they come into the cabin, they just sit down and just melt a little bit, put a vinyl on, or just chill out and listen to some music, chat, play some games, and then and they think actually there's no need to do any of this. Time just disappears up here. It's incredible.
What a compliment to what you've created, that you don't need any of those things.
Yeah. I mean, every time we hear that, we think like, oh, there's something right here.
Mission accomplished. It's interesting. On last week's episode of the podcast, the interior designer was talking about, I don't remember the name for it, but this idea that even by like watching a video of a fire or an ocean, it does something to us neurologically that calms us down. And I was just thinking when you said about selling nothing can be hard, but I look at your Instagram and it does create a feeling to me of calm, just the way that you're visually showing the space you've created. So I do feel like you are doing a good job of marketing nothing in a way that tells my body, oh, wait, maybe nothing is what I need right now. And that's hard.
It's definitely something to get.
Yeah, we're kind of like an hour or so from London. So there's a lot of people, that's our main area that we get people coming from. And, it's a, really busy city. People have these kind of such stressful, busy lives. So we wanted to create that feeling of just coming here and switching off completely. And just having, nothing to do.
Yeah. Well, you now have someone from the East Coast of the United States who is dying to come visit your cabin. So when we make a plan to visit the UK, it is on our list. I will be back in touch.
Oh, fantastic.
But before we wrap up, I would love to do some quick hot topics. And I do this with a bunch of different hosts, but I'm really interested because you all are in a different country. So I'm curious how these are going to differ and which of them might be culturally different or which of them are just personally are different. So I'm just going to ask you like quickly about some hot topics that we usually talk about. Okay, first of all, are you all pet friendly? Dogs or no dogs?
No dogs.
Just because we're in a nature reserve, so we can't really have that with the wildlife around.
That makes sense. Okay,
but we have our own dog.
Do you? But you live in the woodland, though, don't you?
We live like out on the outskirts. So and there's a fence there for him to stay in. So,
What kind of dog do you have?
A Labradoodle.
Oh, nice. Okay. Now I think I know the answer to this one, but did you have any debate about wood stove versus gas?
No,
we're straight in with, I think because we've both been brought up with real fires throughout our lives. And there's nothing like it.
Because we manage the woodland, there's always falling trees somewhere. So we have excess wood. And all the wood is for the fire is produced here in the woodland. We chop it and stack it each year so that it kind of felt natural to do that, I think. So that we actually can use that.
I love
resource.
But a lot of people are hesitant to have a wood stove in a rental. And I will say our newest project has a wood stove and I had to pay a shit ton of money for insurance for that because it's a rental. So how do you manage that with making sure that guests know how to start a fire made out of wood and manage that properly?
So we had the fire built up, ready to go when they arrive. So just literally have to put a match onto these little eco-friendly fire lighters. And we've got all the rest of the stuff is set up, and we've got a digital touch stay guide for the guests. So I've produced a video on that showing how to light the fire and really how that kind of how to be safe with that and stuff.
Okay. And you've had
And
no
we've got
issues.
a massive bit of granite underneath.
Yeah, I saw that. And it actually looks really cool the way that you've done that, but that helps too.
Yeah.
Okay. Short-term rental Facebook groups. Are you in any short-term rental Facebook groups? And what has your experience been?
No, we're not in any.
No, I'm not on Facebook at all.
I kind of have a half a go at running a Facebook
Yeah.
site, but I'm not very good at it because I don't really have much time to. So I kind of it's more Instagram, the direction we've gone for.
Kind of stayed away from Facebook, really.
Okay, it's probably a good idea.
We kind of, I think the noise of it for me was too much. I think I like that Instagram is just your picture, little bit of text.
Yes.
There's not much. I like the sort of simplicity of that, I think, versus Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. I think you're on the right track.
As well. Yeah.
Okay. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this one. Labels in a short-term rental.
Ooh, we haven't got many, have we?
We try to avoid it as much as possible.
Yeah, we have I think we put one label on the fridge door to say pull this way. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Kind of
physical labels.
Physical labels. So
just because it was just one piece of wood and no one knew which end to pull.
And actually we went quite sort of high end with it because just so that it sits rather than just a stick-on label. Yeah. And we've got some labeling on the doors on the inside of the cupboard where keep the door open when you're using the coffee machine.
Okay.
But we had those made up sort of specially so that they look the same as everything in the cabin. So,
it's a kind of a bit of a bugbear for you, isn't it?
I did not want any. I don't like anything just stuck on. Don't use this, use this.
Same.
So the digital guide has everything on it. So you can just, rather than having instructions anywhere, you can go to the digital guide and it will have, you can go to that appliance and it will tell you how you use it and everything about it. So hopefully, that has worked.
So far, touch wood, it's kind of seems to be okay so far.
Yeah. It's very controversial. I've been in short-term rentals that have labels everywhere, and I have gone the opposite direction and haven't done a single one because it has to look just the right way. But I do worry that sometimes I'm not serving our guests by doing that, because if they're getting frustrated at the fridge and a quick label that looks nice could solve that problem, then it makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. Checkout procedures. This is very controversial in the United States right now. Is it in the UK? How much you're asking guests to do when they check out?
We say nothing.
Yeah, we don't ask them to do anything, not even put the rubbish out, because I feel like when you're leaving the property, we want them to just leave with that same sort of energy that they came in with, or actually have gained whilst they're here.
Yeah.
Whereas I think there's something about strip the bed, put all the bins out and things like that we were actually we'll do all of that. You just pack up your things and go. And we kind of went in that direction, I think, more than the sort of.
And we're usually up here within seconds with people leaving anyway.
So you can do all of that.
We can do that. Yeah.
That is the advantage of hosting on site, because I wouldn't mind doing any of that, but I love my cleaner and want to make her life as easy as I can. So there's this tension between, I would be happy to do it, but I don't want to ask her to do it. So how do I make everyone happy? That's challenging. Yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah, I think that's quite different. I think if you've got cleaner coming in, I think it might be feel slightly different. Yeah.
Okay, last one. Do you all do, I know the answer to this because I looked at your website, but direct booking versus Airbnb, Vrbo, so the platforms, how do you all manage? Do you do all of them? Do you do none of them? How do you handle bookings?
It's just through InStyle. We've got InStyle integrated into the website.
So it's all
in-house. Yeah.
Apart with one
one listing site.
And that's it.
So you don't do Airbnb or VRBO?
No.
Why not?
Because we do all right without them, I think. We haven't had to use them. It's always been on our kind of list of places that we could potentially use, but because we just haven't had to use them, it's just kind of got traction by itself. So
I think as well, when we first started, we thought people who look at Airbnb, they're looking for a location where to come, whereas with us, it's more people find the cabin and want to come to the cabin, and they come to this area, then learn the location.
Yeah.
So that kind of seemed to
Felt
work
kind of backwards.
I'm not sure if that's still the case maybe with Airbnb, whether there is. But
they've adjusted it a little bit. You can search like if you're looking for just cabins, and then you can do a backwards search from there. But I hear you. I think when you're marketing a really special, unique location, it is harder because you're going to be more expensive probably than other folks in the area. So if someone's looking just for location, you're then trying to compete on price. And with a place as special as yours, competing on price is like not really what you want to do. Yeah. Okay. And my last question.
Definitely.
What do you think? I ask everybody this. What do you think makes a cabin a cabin?
Oh, I think the location. I think for us,
and that affinity with nature, bringing sort of like feeling at one with it. So there's no trying to make it seamless from within the cabin to the woodland or the outside. Yeah,
definitely. If it's got that connection between the two, I don't necessarily think it matters what it looks like, or obviously it helps, but I think the main thing is the location of where it is,
and it sits nicely within that location as well, so it doesn't jar against it and make you feel awkward, seeing where it is. I think it has to sit
that kind of seamlessness that you have with it. If that's there, then I think
you can
Well, you all have certainly done an incredible job of that. And I'm so grateful for you and joining me and sharing a little bit more about your cabin. I'm going to put all the details in the show notes. So for anyone who wants to see it, if you're nearby and you want to book a stay, you can find all of that stuff there. But thank you guys for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us. And if you liked what you heard, feel free to leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify or share some of your favorite parts over on Apple Podcast. If you have feedback or suggestions for the future, you can also find me on Instagram at Cozy Rock Cabin. Looking forward to next week.